Hello everyone, and welcome back to another session of Dark Souls 2 PvP and another weapon showcase. This time I am using the Spitfire Spear, which is the only spear class weapon that I don't feel bad about using. Now this weapon is one of the two choices you have for the Guardian Dragon boss soul, and it's the less commonly chosen one for some pretty good reasons. Now getting started, the Spitfire Spear requires 10 strength and 18 dexterity in order to wield. It has an E scaling in strength, an E in dexterity, and a C in fire. The physical base damage of the weapon is 160, and the fire base damage of the weapon is 120. For me, the attack rating of this weapon is 407, with a ring of blades. The counter strength is 130, poise damage is 20 per hit, and the weight is 10 units. Now, this weapon has a few problems with it. The biggest problem I can think of would be when you infuse it, though. Now, with most weapons, when you infuse them and they have a previously existing base damage in fire, magic, lightning, dark, so on and so forth, when you infuse them in that type, they generally get a higher base damage in that type. And that's what makes it so good to infuse and buff weapons. That's not the case with this one. You're better off actually not infusing it if you plan to buff it. Reason being, your base damages go down. So, your 160 physical base will drop down to a 153, your 120 fire base will drop down to a 115, and your scalings actually stay the same. Your E scalings become a lower tier of E scalings, and your C scaling in fire goes to a higher tier of C scaling. But it really doesn't do anything for you, and it's honestly still better just to leave it uninfused, in my opinion. So there's that. Now, starting with the pros, I guess. The biggest pro of this weapon, I would have to say, would be style points. I mean, that's really all that this thing's got going for it that makes it unique. It's a typical spear. It shoots a special funky looking R2, you know, it shoots a fireball, does a little Mario thing, and that's really it. I mean, it's a typical spear otherwise, so, you know, it's not all that great. So, I mean, it's good, it does its job, but it is missing also what other spears have, and that's damage. This spear's damage is kind of lacking, but back on topic of the pros, style points, you've got a decent amount of reach, although it still is pretty short for the spears, and you've got a 130 counter strength, so that helps out with your lack of damage a bit, but it still is a little bit lacking. Now, the biggest con of the weapon, durability. I would say it's a toss-up between the durability or the damage that you do, because the damage is really not all that great. And the durability, it goes fast. You can only do 4 R2 attacks before this weapon will break. So, of course, that is a problem. Now, other than that, the only other con that I can think of that is really a big deal would be the fact that it's shorter than most other spears. It's the same length as the standard spear, but that's really it. Every single other spear is longer than this weapon, and I find myself missing with my attacks quite often. I know that's because I'm bad, I get that, but I don't know, it's just something about this weapon. Its length is deceiving and I overestimate it, so that's my problem. But, in my opinion, it is a con, so there's that. Also, one more that I thought of, you need to hit with the sweet spot. That's another thing, and that makes it somewhat difficult to use. Also, the R2 attacks don't have any form of tracking whatsoever, so this weapon's got really not all that much going for it, but it is what it is. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this video, found it helpful in one way or another, and I will see you all next time.